The laughter echoed through the hall before the music even began. At Westbridge Academy, a place polished in prestige and privilege, one sound didn't belong: the quiet confidence of a scholarship kid. 15-year-old Noah Blake stood by his violin case, shoulders straight, eyes calm. Around him, rows of elite students whispered, polished shoes, gold cufflinks, and family names that opened doors. Noah's came from somewhere else, grit, not gold. When his music teacher, Mrs. Langford, strode in, the whispers died down. Langford was sharp and smug, a woman who believed talent followed money. Her smile didn't reach her eyes when she looked at Noah. "Mr. Blake," she said, voice dripping with condescension, "why don't you give us a performance today? Show us how it's done. Where you come from?" A ripple of laughter moved through the room. Noah's fingers brushed the violin case. He knew what this was, not an invitation, a setup. Langford leaned against the piano. "Come on now, don't be shy. Let's hear something from our diversity admission." The words hit like a slap, but Noah didn't flinch. He opened his case, revealing a violin that wasn't new, the varnish worn, the bow rehairs frayed, but it gleamed under the morning light. He lifted it gently, like greeting an old friend. Langford folded his arms. "Let's see if the Academy's charity funds were well spent." The class chuckled. Noah positioned the violin under his chin, drew in a steady breath, and closed his eyes. He remembered his mother's hands guiding his as a child, a nurse who worked double shifts to buy him this very instrument. He remembered his late father's voice saying, "Play like the world's watching, even if they laugh." The bow met the string, and the laughter stopped. At first, it was a whisper of sound, soft, trembling, then it rose. The melody of Clair de Lune filled the room. Each note carried not by technique alone, but emotion too raw to fake. Students who had been smirking now stared, wide-eyed. Langford's smirk faltered. The air changed. Even the hum of the lights seemed to fade beneath the song. Noah's bow danced, confident now. The sound soared and ached, echoing through the oak-paneled room, like a story of every closed door he'd ever opened himself. When the last note trembled into silence, no one moved. Langford finally swallowed hard. "Well," she muttered, "that was unexpected." A hand shot up from the back of the room. Sophie, the daughter of a world-renowned conductor. "Ma," she said, eyes shining, "that was one of the most moving performances I've ever heard." The class broke into applause, but Langford just gave a tight smile. "Let's not exaggerate," she said coldly. "Emotion isn't the same as excellence." Noah didn't argue. He just nodded, packed his violin, and took his seat. But someone else had been recording. If you're enjoying this story so far, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on post notifications, because what happens next will leave you speechless. By the next morning, the video had gone viral. 10 million views. "The boy who played through prejudice," the headline read. Comments flooded in. Violinists, teachers, celebrities, all praising his skill and emotion. When the Academy board called an emergency meeting, Langford tried to downplay it. "It was a student exercise," he insisted. "He got lucky with his piece." But luck didn't earn standing ovations. Days later, Westbridge received a call from the National Youth Symphony. They wanted Noah. Full scholarship, solo audition, televised performance. Langford froze when the headmaster announced it. "They said his tone control was exceptional," the headmaster added, "and that his passion can't be taught." The following Friday, the entire academy gathered in the auditorium. The same students, who once whispered, now waited in respectful silence as Noah walked onto the stage. He stood beneath the spotlight, violin in hand, calm, dignified, unstoppable. Langford sat in the front row, pale and sweating. Noah played again. This time, an original piece he'd written for his mother, who sat in the audience with tears in her eyes. It wasn't just a song. It was a story of survival, of pride, of grace under fire. When he finished, the applause shook the walls. Even Langford rose, slow and defeated. Reporters flooded the room. "How does it feel?" one asked. "To prove everyone wrong?" Noah smiled softly. "I wasn't trying to prove anyone wrong," he said. "I was just trying to make something right." By the end of the semester, Mrs. Langford had been quietly reassigned. The Academy launched a new initiative for underrepresented students in the arts, named the Blake Scholarship. And on the night of his first symphony performance, Noah stood backstage at Lincoln Center, violin in hand. As the lights dimmed, he thought of that day. The laughter, the cruelty, the silence after his first note. He smiled, lifted his bow, and walked onto the stage where he belonged. The teacher's mockery had tried to shame him, but in the end, it became his overture.